Punisher Season 2 is almost here, but what if you have absolutely no idea what the heck is going on? No worries, we've got you covered. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Leo Rydell, and today we're here to give you everything you need to know before watching Punisher Season 2. This everything you need to know will only include the Punisher from the Netflix universe, so we're not exploring the Punisher from the comics. Let's rewind back to Daredevil Season 2. You guys remember Matt Murdock, aka the Devil of Hell's Kitchen? Season 2, he was hitting the streets, fighting crime, but little did he know there was another vigilante out there. In the first episode, Irish mobster Grotto seeks out Nelson and Murdock for protection after his comrades are killed. But little do they know, a one-man army is coming. Later in the episode, Karen Page takes Grotto to a hospital, but they are then attacked by the Punisher. The Punisher, aka Frank Castle, is out to get the Irish Mafia, and he's almost unstoppable. Daredevil bursts in to save the day and fights off the Punisher, but Punisher gets the upper hand and shoots Matt clean in the head. Yikes. The Irish mobster Grotto continues on the run, but Punisher eventually catches up to him. Daredevil and Punisher, yes, Daredevil survived the gunshot, meet on yet another rooftop, and the Punisher gets the upper hand and kidnaps Grotto. Punisher gives Daredevil an ultimatum to kill him or to kill Grotto. Matt chooses to use the bullet for the chains he's tied up in, but before he can get to the Punisher kills Grotto. Soon after, the biker gang working with Grotto rush the building and Daredevil takes them on alone. Now remember, this is a Punisher episode, so I'm going to fast forward a bit through Daredevil Season 2. The investigation behind the Punisher leads Foggy and Karen to discover his real name, Frank Castle. Frank is kidnapped and tortured by the new head of the Irish Mafia, Finn Cooley, for revenge for killing his comrades. But before he can get in too deep, Frank quickly outsmarts him and blows his head off with a shotgun. Wow, I love this show. Daredevil swoops in and helps Frank take down the Irish in yet another great battle. After this skirmish, Frank explains his past to Daredevil and is quickly taken into custody for all the vigilante work he's been doing, aka killing people. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit more because, like I said, guys, this is a Punisher episode. Matt comes to Frank's defense through Nelson and Murdock. They come up with an elaborate plan to get Frank a better sentence, but days before, Frank throws a trial and admits guilt. Frank is taken to prison, and in the yard he meets with the man responsible for throwing the trial, Kingpin. Kingpin, attempting to take over the prison, tricks Frank into killing his rival. He tells Frank that the man he's looking for is the blacksmith. After killing Kingpin's rival, Frank is surrounded by other prisoners who are then slaughtered in one of the best killing scenes in all of television. Yes, I am talking the prisoner scene. Frank escapes to Kingpin's delight, and he's back outside the walls. A man is running around killing people, pretending to be the Punisher, but it's not quite him. Karen discovers it's Frank's commander-in-war, Colonel Ray Schoonover, and before he gets to kill Karen, Frank saves her. Frank embraces the present and becomes the Punisher. Alright, moving on to Punisher Season 1. Frank successfully takes down the rest of the mobsters that murdered his family, but he still has nightmares about their death. 6 months go by and Frank is laying low working for a construction company. But low doesn't last too long after he ends up protecting one of the workers from the others and some gangs. He also finds an old army platoon mate, Curtis Hoyle, who leads a rehab class for veterans. But stubborn old Frank doesn't want to talk about anything. Meanwhile, Homeland Security agent Dina Madani investigates Frank's Afghanistan troop, fearing they tortured and killed her partner in their army days. Frank is tracked down by a hacker who goes by Micro. Micro sends Frank the torturing video and Madani gets a hold of a copy. Things are starting to get sticky. Madani finds Frank's friend and platoon partner, Billy Russo. If you read the comics, you know who he is. And they begin a friendship. Little does Russo know, Madani is only using him to investigate Frank. Skipping back over to the Punisher, Frank finds Karen Page, yeah, from Daredevil, and they find Micro. And guess what Frank does? Tortures Micro to get some answers. Frank discovers he's an NSA analyst named David Lieberman, who was set up and quote-unquote killed, but the bullet actually hit his phone and he survived. So he was able to crawl underground and operate down there for a while. Frank reveals to Lieberman that he and Billy Russo were selected for a super shady unit Cerberus, with no knowledge of why they were doing what they were doing, including murdering Madani's partner. So they were set up. Frank and Micro then make a pact to track down and defeat Cerberus. Agent William Rollins, the man behind the Cerberus unit, discovers Frank is alive and sends people after him. But come on, he's the Punisher. Good luck with that one. Through Madani, Billy Russo discovers that Frank is still alive and broadcasts a message to Micro. Frank meets with Billy and reveals the truth behind Cerberus, a drug front using their hideous actions as cover. Billy decides to offer Frank a new life away from everything. No more vigilante work, no more bullets, just away from it all. But Frank rejects it as he can't rest until he puts an end to Cerberus. Later in the episode, we see Billy Russo walking with Rollins. He's a traitor. Fast forwarding a little bit. Remember Curtis Hoyle, Frank's other platoon mate? He attempts to help one of the guys in his rehab group, Lewis Wilson, a psycho on the verge of suicide. Lewis sets up bombs and beats Curtis. Frank tracks him down, but it's all a setup as Frank is caught on camera and labeled a bomber and framed for the bombs. Wilson kidnaps Karen Page, but of course Frank comes in to save her. He's confronted by bodyguards working for Billy Russo's company, Anvil, and eventually he's confronted by Billy himself. Russo attempts to kill Frank, which doesn't really work out. But Russo later kidnaps Micro's son and wife, who had no idea he was still alive. Frank and Micro make a deal with Russo to exchange themselves for Micro's family. Unfortunately, Micro's quote-unquote caught in the crossfire, and only Frank is taken by Russo. But shortly after, however, is revealed to be another fake death, so Lieberman can escape and live with his family. Russo tortures Frank in order to get him to unlock Micro's computers. He wants to delete any files and evidence of Cerberus's wrongdoings. Little does Russo know, Micro sent a ton of backups to Madani. William Rollins shows up to torture Frank himself, but Billy helps Frank get free, and Frank kills Rollins. Russo almost gets the best of Frank, but Madani arrives just in time thanks to the help of Micro. Frank is patched up and saved by Madani's father, who was a doctor. Russo then kidnaps Curtis Hoyle, who was also his platoon mate, and holds him hostage. Frank confronts Russo, who then tells Frank to meet him at the carousel where Frank's family was killed. Madani is told by her superiors not to investigate, but she does so anyway, and she does walk into the skirmish and is shot in the head by Billy Russo. Frank and Russo have one final battle at the carousel, with Frank being the obvious victor, but he decides, don't kill Billy Russo. Instead, he smashes Billy's face into glass, forcing him to live the rest of his life with scars all over his face. No more Billy the Beaut Russo. And for anybody who's read the comic, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Russo and Madani are alive. Frank is sent into custody, but later he's freed. After everything, Frank decides to go to Curtis's veteran rehab, finally to get some help. And, oh my god, did I miss anything? I know there was a lot in that Punisher season that I didn't cover, but I really wanted to just cover the major ground. Punisher Season 2 is streaming on Netflix now. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow Geekly Goods on all social media platforms, and grab something from our store. We take $1 of every purchase and donate it to arts education to keep arts in the classrooms. We'll see you next time.